Hello, everybody. I want to welcome you here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here. It's August the 15th. This is band or run number 17 of my favorite 4 album runs, a series that we're running for the month of August. So basically, what we're doing is I'm picking 4 albums that I personally think are great and they're chronological to each other than the first episode I did, which I screwed up, but everybody already knows that one by now. But from here on in, we've been just picking those 4 albums that have come chronologically to each other that I think are fantastic, that represent this band as well. So, of course, it's not going to be any kind of surprise today. We are going to be doing the Beatles, and the albums I've chosen begin that kind of time period where the Beatles started their change, a change from that kind of poppy, mainstream kind of, I would call it girly music, but I might get in trouble for that. So I'm just going to call it a pop stream music, which was good. I liked a lot of that stuff as well, but I think that the real strength of the Beatles came later in their discography and their career. And it starts with Rubber Soul. Absolutely killer. This is the beginning of that kind of psychedelic era. Some people feel that this is the seeds or the beginning of that progressive movement starting here. I think they're right. I think the Beatles, like everything they touched, turned to gold. Everything they touched was a beginning of something or another. And this is the album that started it, I think. So you've got lots of very strong stuff on this album, Rubber Soul. So first of all, I'll just show you some of the pictures in here. Some like the classic Beatle looks here, right? Absolutely. Comes with a booklet too. Absolutely killer. The back cover of this album, Rubber Soul. I got lucky. I got this for $1. Can you believe it? $1 at a yard sale. And it was in great condition. I love it. Absolutely killer. And then, the back. So this has 14 tracks on it. Of course, there is a Rubber Soul mini documentary here. So if you want to insert the computer into computer, you could watch that as well. But it has 14 tracks. Most of these tracks I really like. I mean, this has songs like Norwegian Wood, which I think is one of the underrated Beatles tunes. Absolutely killer. I know a lot of people know it, and it's a great song, but I think it's better than even gets credit for. You Won't See Me. You Won't See Me. Yeah, really cool. Maybe a little bit of a throwback to their earlier stuff. Nowhere Man, one of my favorite tunes by the Beatles. Think for Yourself, The Word. Then You Get Michelle, another kind of a little bit of a throwback song. But you can see that even the throwback songs are a little bit more involved than they used to be. What's Going On, Girl. This is definitely a throwback. I'm Looking Through You. Another great tune. In My Life. This is kind of a little bit of that psychedelic stuff going on here. If I Need Someone and Run for Your Life. So it's just the beginning of that Rubber Soul is just the beginning of that kind of psychedelic era. You see it in their album cover. You see it with some of the songs like Norwegian Wood. You can see that they want to expand their horizons and do something other than what they were doing. So that's Rubber Soul. The next album out, of course, is Revolver. We all know the artwork on this is fantastic, really psychedelic, I believe. Album again, it's got a nice inside. It's got a little booklet that comes with it as well. Pretty much the same as the album itself with all the lyrics and the songs in here as well. Fantastic album cover. This is very psychedelic, I think. So now they're really starting to move into that area. You can see it in the pictures. You can see it even a little bit in the hair is starting to go a little here. So this album, of course, has Taxman. This is a bit of a throwback, but it's not really a throwback. It has that kind of psychedelic edge to it as well. Eleanor Rigby, that's a little bit of a throwback as well. Here, there, and everywhere. This is a great tune. I like this a lot. Yellow Submarine. That's kind of that. You're seeing more of that psychedelic feel here. Good Day Sunshine. Another kind of quirky, kind of psychedelic feel to it as well. Dr. Robert. This one is a little bit of an outlier. I find this a bit of a different song. I do like it a lot, though. It's one of my favorite of theirs on this album. Get to Know, Get You. Got to Get You Into My Life. This is another big hit by them. This fantastic song, Paul McCartney singing this. And then you get Tomorrow Never Knows. This is a really getting into that psychedelic edge. They flipped the guitar, so he played the guitar solo and then they flipped it and played it backwards for the album. Really kind of a very psychedelic feel. This is probably my favorite Beatles song of all time. Absolutely love it. Really very psychedelic and really showing that progressive movement by doing things like that. Next album up, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Many feel that this is the first kind of concept album ever released. I mean, there's, maybe you're going to say it's not as conceptual as Tommy or Arthur or some of those albums, but definitely has that feel for it. Very psychedelic too. Their costumes are outlandish. Very psychedelic, very Indian looking stuff going on here. Even their look, their hair look, they're growing, their hair is growing, they're growing mustaches, they've got facial hair, the colors are psychedelic for sure. This album has a real psychedelic flavor to it, so really, really stepping it up here with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the opening track, with a little help from my friends. This is another really psychedelic song. Is there anything more psychedelic than Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds? I don't know, maybe not. And there's some deeper cuts like Getting Better, Fixing a Hole, She Leaves Home, Being on the Benefit of Mr. Kite. Yeah, these are all really good tracks, deep cuts that you want to get into the Beatles. This album is a psychedelic one. It'll bring you to that. Lovely Rita, Rita Maid, another fantastic song. Good Morning, Good Morning. And then you got the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This is the reprise version. I think it's a little stepped up. And then maybe another one of those really outlandish psychedelic songs, something like Tomorrow Never Knows, is A Day in the Life. Very off-centered, very different, telling a story. Just really psychedelic. They're really going all out on this particular album. Yeah, so Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the third album in the run. And the last album in the run is my particular favorite album by them. Maybe not my favorite, but it's in the top 3 or 4 anyways, for sure. Magical Mystery Tour, a little bit of an outlier. This was kind of put together to kind of accommodate some of the American audience. They wanted to get more of that. Lots of really good stuff here. Magical Mystery Tour itself, very psychedelic. Fool on the Hill, another great song. One of my favorite Beatles songs as well. Blue Jay Way, different type of song. Your Mother Should Know. This is kind of that same vein as Blue Jay Way. I Am a Walrus, for many years, was my favorite Beatles song. Kind of burned it out a bit, but still a great tune. Hello, Goodbye. Strawberry Fields Forever, one of the most psychedelic Beatles songs. Like, they're really hitting it on full cylinder here. Penny Lane, a little bit of a different type of song. Doesn't psychedelic a little bit. I wouldn't call it a psychedelic song though. Baby, You're a Rich Man. Baby, you're a rich man. Baby, you're... Yeah, it's one of those catchy tunes. All You Need Is Love. This is kind of beginning of that peace movement, although it probably had already started at this point, but definitely a themes type song for that. So there you have it, the Beatles. And I don't claim to be a Beatles expert. These are just observations on my part. So you've got Rubber Soul starting it off. Beatles, I think that's a 66. This one's also a 66, I believe. Or maybe it's a 67. I think it's a 66 though. Give me a second here. Yeah, a lot of these new albums, they don't tell you nothing about when the album was released. I'm pretty sure it's a 66, so Revolver, number 2 in the list. Sergeant Pepper's from '67, the number 3 album on the run, and then it finishes off nicely with the Magical Mystery Tour. Album cover, excited. Album's kind of wacky. It looks very American, really, to be honest. But it's the number 4 album on the run, also released in '67. So there you have it, the Beatles and their 4-album run. Beatles had to be on this list somewhere. Today's the day, number 17, August the 15th. Working our way down to number 1. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, hit the like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to leave any comments about the Beatles. And I'm sure I'll get lots, because there's more than any other band. They're probably the most connoisseurs on the Beatles out there. People who absolutely adore this band. Many feel it's the greatest rock band in history. Not my personal favorite, nor do I think that, but I certainly identify and understand if people feel that way. So anyways, we will see you tomorrow with another 4-album run, my favorite 4-album runs. Take care and have yourself a good day and a good evening. Goodbye.